Zero-emission vehicle mandate comes into force today, with the government requiring 22% of all new car sales to comprise of zero-emission vehicles. I think that should say comprise zero-emission vehicles.
And if you think that sounds tough, the threshold will rise annually with a target of 100% of new car sales being electric by 2035. Now, this is key. Failure to abide by the rules will result in a requirement to pay the government £15,000 per polluting car sold above the limits. So manufacturers, if they sell if they sell too many polluting cars, they will have to pay the government money. Okay, well,
let's try and work all of this out.
It is what it is, and like the saying goes, follow the money. New eco rules could see customers refused a petrol or diesel car from today. Today, we will feature a news piece from GB News, but before we dig in and go deeper into it, please hit that like button and subscribe if you like content like these. Now, GB News is a British free-to-air opinion-oriented news, television and radio channel, and the channel is available on Freeview, Freesat, Sky, YouView, Virgin Media, and via the internet on Samsung TV Plus and YouTube. No, this is not a free publicity. I'm actually reading the information here from Wikipedia. And the channel is described as a right-leaning on political issues. It is jointly owned by hedge fund manager Sir Paul Marshall and investment firm Legatum under the umbrella of a holding company, All Perspectives Limited, which is headquartered in London. And like Fox News in the United States, they have been getting a lot of heat. Information is very important. Information like this is very needed so people can make strategic decisions. Will you more than likely own a car 10 years from now? And if information presented here from GB News of what is taking place in Great Britain, then the big divide is indeed imminent. Let's continue.
The CEO of the Electric Vehicle Association England, and thank you for making the time for us this afternoon. I suppose there is wide sort of understanding of the 2035 ban on petrol and diesel vehicles. Perhaps what there's less general understanding on is the taper to get there. What's the reasoning behind that in your view?
So, I mean, we're starting from a base of around 16-17% last year of cars, and we need to get to 22% this year. The theory is you can't really leave it all until the last year. So we need to get to 100% by 2035, and I think it's 80% by 2030. So it's a level sort of graph going upwards rather than trying to rely on a huge amount of heavy lifting at the end, which obviously gives huge amounts of confidence for car manufacturers, for chargers, for consumers. This sort of small increments up, I think, is a much more sensible way of doing it and puts the UK in a position where we can hopefully steal the lead on the manufacturing jobs that come with this.
James, why can't this be left to the market, though? As you say, 16 to 17% of new car sales are electric already. That sounds like we're making decent progress, not too far off 22%. So why can't this be left to the market and personal choice?
And that's a very good question. Why not leave it to the market? The market normally dictates what happens in the overall essence of consumerism. And here in Canada, it's 1 in 3 after 2025. 1 in 3 vehicles are to be electric, and then 3 in 5 after 2030, and then after 2035 all vehicles leaving the manufacturer production line must be fully electric, or as long as they are not internal combustion engines. And with the price tags now at a $45,000 average, what will be the prices come 2035? Let's continue.
So I think it is an interesting point because there is astonishing growth in electric vehicles, not least, and he's not the most popular figure in the world, but Elon Musk sort of made them quite cool. Teslas are quite cool cars.
Well, they're very expensive.
And I think in the way that perhaps 15 years ago people looked at electric vehicles and thought they're really dorky, I don't think people think that really anymore. Like some of the most attractive cars on the market are electric vehicles.
Well, some would disagree with you on that one. There's something about driving a traditional petrol or diesel car that people enjoy.
A Tesla Model, I think it's Model S.
They are quite sleek.
With the gull wing doors that open up like Back to the Future.
We've got another guest that's appeared. We've got motoring journalist and used car dealer Danny Kelly. Danny, thank you.
And before she goes into that guess, I mean, electric cars are increasing due to government incentives. A lot of people want to take advantage of the cash being offered by government. Cashback incentives were never available for ICE vehicles, well, except for when the Obama administration bailed out the auto industry with its cash for clunker promotion back in 2009.
Thank you very much. Now, you're a little bit more sceptical about this transition to electric vehicles. Do you think it's right that the government is putting in these sort of arbitrary regulations and targets?
I don't, and not only do I not think it's right, I think it suppresses the freedom of choice for the consumer. And your last contributor is correct. The total electric sales account for about 16%. They need to get to 22%. Some manufacturers are better at producing and selling electric cars than others. For example, Skoda, Europe-wide Skoda, their electric car sales account for around about 7%. Mazda, they're massive on plug-in hybrids, but of course that's no good. It needs to be completely electric, and they only have one model in the range. BMW, they do about 16% electric sales. So it's going to put massive pressure on manufacturers, and it's going to get to a stage, Emily and Tom, where consumers are going to be denied. This is my belief. I can't speak on behalf of the manufacturers, but consumers are going to walk into a Skoda dealership, and they're going to say, I want to buy a petrol Skoda, please. But the salesman is going to say to them, well, unfortunately, we're not going to sell you one because we haven't hit our 22% target.
Danny, by your logic as well, many car manufacturers who aren't so efficient at making electric vehicles could simply go out of business or move to countries and manufacture cars in countries where there aren't these rules.
Look, Emily, I'm in business myself, and if I know that it's going to cost me £15,000 as a punishment because I haven't hit my target and I want to sell someone a diesel Skoda, I'm simply not going to produce right-hand drive petrol or diesel Skodas because I'm going to go out of business. It's all academic potentially as well, Tom and Emily, because if Keir Starmer doesn't deal with the next general election, he's going to row back on the 2035 anyway. He's going to take it back to 2030. So this is all academic. I don't know how the manufacturers are going to feel about it, but it's bad for the consumer. It's counterintuitive to what we stand for in this country.
Yeah, and he's correct here. There's no longer freedom of choice, and there's so much to unpack based on what he's saying, and these are questions that have to be answered, because little more from now, if those manufacturers are unable to keep up with the EV mandate that has been going on for them and they're losing money, it's all about profit. You go in business to make a profit, and if you can't make a profit on these cars, then you're going to have to take your business elsewhere. And we in the West, this is something that is coming and it may be imminent. We may not want to discuss it, but these are all the angles we need to look at when making decisions like these.
Very reasonable when we want to purchase something that we want to purchase.
Danny, is it the case that everyone in the world is doing this? Of course, the European Union's bans are all 2035. Our ban was originally 2030. It caused quite a lot of consternation when Rishi Sunak delayed it for 5 years, taking us more in line with the EU, making that taper less steep. Isn't this just the way that the world's going?
Without a doubt, it's the way that the world is going, but whether the consumer wants to follow it is completely different, Tom. It's my view that unless you live in a detached house with a drive and an electric charging point, then you can have a 60, 70 grand Tesla or indeed a 25 grand Renault Zoe, because that's how cheap they are. But if you live on a tight terrace street somewhere in the northwest or the northeast where you can't guarantee a parking space outside your house, how the hell are you supposed to charge it with cables overnight? It's a tripping hazard. This is disaster waiting to happen.
And it's the market is consumer driven, and he's correct. Much of the existing infrastructure is old, and where I reside here, at least 20 cars are parked. The complex was never built to accommodate electric vehicles. And if a company like ChargePoint were to come in and we're going to be looking at thousands of dollars just to install one charging port. And if you just bought an electric vehicle just to install a level 2 charger at home, it's between $2,000 and $7,500 again. Just follow the money.
The motorway service stations, they're actually experiencing something called charge rage, where owners of electric vehicles are having to wait hours and hours and hours. And unless the infrastructure is there, it's all very well talking a good game. But from a consumer's point of view, I take you back to a consumer's point of view, the choice needs to be there. And if you're forced into buying an electric car, you need to know that you're going to be able to charge it. And at the moment, that just isn't in place.
And charge rate has been shown on social media where regular vehicles were seen parked at charging ports or numerous vehicles waiting in line to get energized. That's what I call it. Where there are too many long lineups, as you can see here in this particular video.
So you want to charge your car, huh? Well, don't come here. You'll be here till 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's just the cars that are getting charged. And this is the line of the cars wanting to get charged. And this is the great hoax to get rid of gasoline so that you can go sit in a line and plug your car in. This isn't a joke. This is the real thing. It's 11:15 at night. And these are the people who probably, I guess, can't get home. And they're just sitting in their cars, and they're just waiting and waiting and waiting.
And here's another one. It's all fun and games until you have to charge your car in Baker, California. Everyone is lined up there to go to the charging station. As you can see under there, the charging station is basically full. 30 to 45 minutes to charge. Others in line have to wait. So depending on how long you're going to be there, how long they're charging, 3 to 4 hours. And here's also the inconvenience he's talking about.
So this guy came here in his electric car. He's been here so long that he actually just had a pizza delivered. Been here over an hour or so. And then this guy showed up to charge his car, but this guy had just gotten here. So now he has to wait till he's finished before he can get over here. I wonder if he's going to get a pizza as well.
No, you only see these type of lines at gas stations. Once there's a storm or a hurricane that's nearby, there's going to be a strike by tanker drivers. Let's get back to GB News.
Very much. Danny Kelly, strong staff, motoring journalist, used car dealer. Thank you for your time.
I have to say, I saw a story about this last week, which was
about the rage, charging rage.
Someone had objected to a charger being installed outside his house a few years ago. Wrote to the council saying this is awful, this is anti-health and safety. They got the thing stopped being built. Anyway, fast forward to this year, he's bought an electric car.
No way.
He wants a charging point outside his house, but the council won't build it because of his previous objection saying health and safety was the reason this can't be built.
Well, I just think the government messing around with all these regulations, changing them every day, it seems, is probably having an impact on that economic growth that doesn't seem to be happening.
Possibly.
There are so many things to unpack in this particular video. But in today's environment, you can either be cancelled for speaking freely, your opinions will be labeled as offensive once someone disagrees with you. Gone are the days of constructive criticism, or when we had debate teams in high schools where we had to present facts, data, and statistics. Information today has been aligned with feelings, not facts. Then they wonder why so many people are considering leaving the West to go back and reside in developing countries. Sooner or later, our manufacturers may also think about doing the same thing. EVs are the future, but how much will it cost? Thousands have already lost their jobs. Between Ford, GM, and Stellantis, restructuring for EV manufacturing, over 10,000 people have been shown the door. Much more will follow as cars become more like smartphones on wheels. We haven't even touched on after-sale service. As someone who likes to nimble around my own car, now I have to go and learn about software engineering and how the skateboard chassis works. But it's offensive to ask questions. And oh, let's not forget fear-mongering. Let me know your thoughts below. Remember to grab a copy of my ebook, The Parts Manager Guide. Please smash that like button on your way out. It will only take you 1.5 seconds to do so. Until next time.